Imagine you're watching TV in your apartment when you hear a loud bang. Instantly, your world has changed. Your ears ache and there's dust and debris all around you. You turn to see what happened, only to discover that half of your apartment has disappeared. Your next instinct is to dive behind the couch and protect yourself from becoming another casualty of war. Hi, I'm Vasilii. Since the beginning of civilization, people have been a part of wars. But not just soldiers, regular citizens, like the story I just told you. Today I'm going to talk about how different wars can be, what the rules of war are, but most importantly, the lasting impacts of war on people. I chose to do this topic because my family has many connections to past wars, more specifically, World War II. I'm from Russia. Through much of history, it is known as the Soviet Union. This country has played a big role in World War II, the Cold War, and many other wars. There's so much to learn about the Soviets' impact on wars, but today I want to focus on World War II, because my great-grandparents were active participants. One of my great-grandpas was on the front line when the Nazis first started attacking. Sadly, he passed away on February 29, 1944, on the line of duty from a Nazi sniper's bullet. But he wasn't the only one affected by World War II in my family. Both of my great-grandmothers were connected to the siege on Leningrad. This was a 900-day period of time where the Soviets defended their territory from the advancing Nazi army. One of my great-grandmothers stayed alive by supporting the war effort and working in an ammunition factory to feed her and her family. She passed away not too long ago in the summer of 2017, but she told me even though most of the city's electricity was out, she stayed warm in the freezing winters because her apartment had one of the only running saunas in the whole city. My other great-grandma was driven out of the city and spent time in the Road of Life, an ice pathway across Lake Ladoga. There was a lot of unfairness during World War II, and many horrible things happened that should never be repeated. Did you know, shortly after World War II ended, the world made a kind of rule book for what is acceptable during a war. The Geneva Convention happened in 1949, but used many other older laws and documents to establish the rules of war. It contains rules about who can be killed, like protect those who aren't fighting, such as civilians, medical personnel, or aid workers. It also contains rules about what weapons can be used, such as banning poisons and landmines. These rules were put in place to minimize the effect of war on regular people. About 56 million people died during World War II due to massacres, deliberate genocide, and mass bombings. Another 20 to 25 million people died from effects of World War II, such as famine and disease. Over 100 million people from over 30 nations were part of World War II. Most of the world's nations were divided between two different military sides, known as the Axis and the Allies. Both suffered losses in the deadliest war in history. It is estimated that around 70 to 85 million people died in World War II. To put this in perspective, this was roughly 3% of the population of 2.3 billion measured across the world in 1940. Surprisingly, more civilians died than people who fought, almost 55 million. The effects of war on regular people are super easy to see. Data shows that the Soviet Union had the highest number of World War II casualties, around 27 million, followed by China, who fought against the Japanese, and then Germany. The last thing I want to talk about today is how different wars can be. Let's take a look at what weapons ancient China used to fight in war. During the Han period, Chinese people became more effective with metalworking techniques, giving them stronger blades with sharper cutting edges. They used weapons such as the halberd, a mix of a spear and an axe, spears, javelins, daggers, and battle axes. Now let's take a look at what weapons the Soviet Union used in World War II. Revolvers and pistols, rifles, sniper rifles and battle rifles, submachine guns, machine guns, grenades and grenade launchers, mines, recoilless rifles, infantry anti-tank rifles, and rocket launchers. To me, these countries are super different in what they use to fight in war. Of course, these are completely different times, but it still shows how different wars can be and how they've changed, wars changed over time. In conclusion, I think that war is a very horrible, horrible thing and should never ever be repeated. I hope that the people watching me understand this and have learned something new. Thank you very much.